This conference will now be recorded.
Ron, I have 7 o'clock and we have everyone on here.
Okay, you ready then?
Yep.
Okay, it's April 12th, 2021. This is a monthly meeting of the Dayton Utility Service Board. This meeting is being held by phone because of the COVID-19 pandemic and in compliance with the governor's executive orders. This meeting is open for the public to listen in real time and by a recording afterward, and an option has been provided for residents to speak during the meeting on agenda items. Now, present on the phone are Clerk Treasurer Michelle Freeward, our Town Attorney Reed Murtaugh, Town Manager Mark Harlow, Town Marshal Scott Taylor, and the 5 members of the council who will identify themselves by roll call. Jen?
Here.
Carla?
Present.
Stan?
Here.
Ashley?
Here.
And I'm here, so all 5 are present. Okay, everybody has been extended the courtesy of being allowed to speak, but it is a privilege and not a right. When someone interrupts or speaks disrespectful or injects snarky comments or speaks out about things not related to the topic, they will be muted. Being muted is a privilege, and we have extended, but is not a right or a requirement. Okay, before we begin, I want to again point out for the record that the council has always received packets before each meeting that contain the most important documents and reports on the agenda. We have an internal control ordinance that says, and I quote, "The clerk treasurer shall upload documents to the folders through a secure file sharing service or collaboration platform selected by the town council that can be accessed remotely by the town council and or printed by the clerk treasurer upon request by the town council." Dayton's clerk treasurer refuses to abide by the ordinance and again has refused to even print the documents and make the meeting packets, as had always been done. So I'd like to thank Bridget, our new utility clerk, for filling in and making tonight's meeting packets for us. Thank you again, Bridget. I also want to add that I called and confirmed with the area plan that they presently issue packets, have always issued packets, and in the future will continue to issue the meeting packets for all the printed material for their meetings. And this is contrary to what some person has been saying on Facebook. So just to clear that up, area plan meetings, they issue packets. Okay, first on the agenda is Attorney Reed Murtaugh. Reed, do you have anything for this meeting?
Thanks, Rod. No, I don't. Utility account repayment plans is on the agenda, but I don't have anything to report back on that yet. Just still on my list, and I'll get to it as soon as I can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have the next is the adjustment reports for January, February, and March of 2021. There seems to be an exceptional amount of adjustments. So, Michelle, if you could explain them, if you could, please, to us.
Okay, so on the adjustment report for January, the only things were the normal prorated first bill, applied deposit to final bill, a rollover meter error, transfer from tenant to landlord, just the normal things. The adjustment report for February is very long. It is let me see. It is 15 pages. What this is, I sent you all an Excel document, and I think you guys had Bridget print those for you. So it's an Excel spreadsheet. We had talked about how our accounts with balances, it was I think that was 15 plus pages, and a lot of those were accounts of people who had moved out, paid what their difference was from their deposit, or was waiting for their deposit to be applied to their bill and then mailed the difference of the check. So what I did is I printed the adjustment report or excuse me, the report of accounts with balances of closed accounts, and I went through every single one of those, and I applied the deposit to the account. On that Excel spreadsheet, you'll show that I put how much was owed for each utility: water, wastewater, stormwater, and trash, what their deposit was, if they had a deposit, and then what I applied. So if the deposit was applied, so say their bill was $78, but their deposit was $125, it shows that I apply that 78 and what their deposit is left owed to them. I have every single one of those screens printed out to show those accounts so you guys can see that. So that cleared out, because I mean there was accounts that have been sitting there. As you can see, I've kind of put the year. So I mean, we go all the way back to 2005. There might be even farther back that accounts that had not been cleared out. So those have all been taken care of. There are still a large amount of people that are due a refund that was remaining left over from their deposit. So if you want, I can put all of that whole stack that goes with that Excel spreadsheet on the back table, or I can give them to Bridget and she can have them in the office. So I'm hoping soon. At the bottom, you can see the total of everything that was still left over, of people that still owe that didn't maybe have enough deposit on their account to pay their bill, but then also what is owed to the people. So now that utilities are split, and those go back for so long, I don't know if they need to take a vote or how we need to handle that to get that money, to release me to issue the checks to those people that have remaining deposits. So that's that for February. And the adjustment report for March, what happened was on this account, when the residents, they paid 3 of their rentals, and on the slips of the account that they had turned in, they had put actually a lesser amount on the one stub than what the check was for. Didn't realize it when I did deposit. The bank sent me a thing saying that our deposit from that night was actually increased by $73.67. So I was going back to check to see why, and they had actually called me, and I had pulled the check, or I had the bank send me the check, a copy of it, and compared it, and so their full check was not applied to their account. So that's what that is. So that was just applying what check did not get applied to their account. So it was confirmed. So now everything's even. So that was the only adjustment for March.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Real quick, for February, well, for all of them, but the summary on the last page, Michelle, do you know what? Do you know what each of those summary numbers is adding?
So if you look, those numbers should match where it says like water adjusted, water tax adjusted, water penalty adjusted, and then you see waste adjusted, waste penalty adjusted. So all of those numbers should correlate, I believe, with how it's all broken down on the bottom as well.
Oh, okay. So like this is storm adjusted and storm penalty. This is total. This is sanitary adjusted. Yeah. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So it just breaks it down on the bottom. And like I said, I think there were some that was just like regular accounts that were also in there. Like you can see, I guess it's a final bill, but what the accounts that you know that correlate with that Excel spreadsheet is where it says 99 account applied deposit, and then the parentheses of what year their account was closed. So you know that's how you can tell what matches with that Excel sheet. Because like I said, by not doing that every year when I do the report for the end of the year, we have to report how much money we're owed. And it's been looking like we've been owed this huge amount of money, but it's actually because these accounts have just never been updated and cleared out with the deposit. So now when we do annual report for 2021 and 2022, that number will drastically drop because the accounts are getting back to being cleared out when they're, like I said, it went all the way back to 2004. So that was a lot of money that built up over those years of looking like it was owed, but it really wasn't. It was just waiting for the deposits to be applied to final bill.
So the summary, that total number in the summary, is that the amount that we are like owed? But like, is that the amount owed after the deposit?
No, those are the amounts of what the adjustment report was. So if you open up that spread or that Excel spreadsheet, and I don't have it on me right now, but if you guys open that up and scroll all the way down to the bottom, I had put what is still owed for each utility, and then what we owe back in refunds. So I don't know how you guys want to handle those accounts, especially, so say back in the day, deposits were $35. So if somebody owed $78 and only $35 was applied to their account, they still owe. So I don't know what the law is about how far we can go back. Again, that I'm assuming that's something you guys are going to have to talk to Reed about, of how we handle. I don't know if you guys would go in and just write those off, and then we go in and adjust those accounts again as write-offs, so that we can start with a clean slate. Again, I'm just assuming that's something you're going to have to talk to Reed about, of what he thinks is the best option to do, because they're so old.
Right. Okay. So on the Excel spreadsheet, the very last total, final balance total, that's what, if we wrote it all off, that's the amount would be writing off, not the total on the adjustment report.
No. Yes, correct. I'm trying to pull up the row. So the remaining deposit is the very last blue column. So what we owe in remaining deposits is $1,596.23. So final balance, that's the gray box. If I'm thinking correctly, the
204.65.
Yeah, the 22,000 is the accounts that where deposits were applied, or somebody just didn't, because like you'll see in the orange column, there's zero. So there's a lot of accounts that didn't have deposits, but then never paid their final bill. So the 22,000 would be the voted write-off amount.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was. Okay, I got it now. Thank you. That was so many numbers.
Yeah, I was just going to clear it up for you guys and whoever the new utility clerk was, because I mean that took me days because there was 180 accounts.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Yeah.
So this is Reed. I think that the issues of refunding deposits and then also addressing accounts that still have a balance after applying the deposit is probably addressed in the town code, but I would have to pull it up. But I would think, Michelle, that you are authorized to issue those refunds without a motion. But I mean, obviously it never hurts to do that. But
yeah, and I just wanted to make sure, because like I said, some of these have been sitting there for years. So I'm going to have to try and contact these people and confirm that, you know, their address. So I just wanted to make sure, you know, if there was somebody that we still owe a deposit to from 2010, that we're still in the realm to be able to do that with an 11-year difference.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to look into it, especially for those type of situations.
Okay. And like I said, I have them all printed off and it detailed how it's wrote down. So I can put those, like I said, if you guys want them, I can put them in Bridget's office and you guys can go through them and see But I printed off every single account that I adjusted and how it was adjusted.
Okay. So that would show the total, all the deposit transactions. That's what you're saying that you printed?
Yeah, it will match with that Excel sheet. It has the print off of the person's account. You can't print off account screens that go back, I think it's like 4 years. So there's some where I just had to go to like the deposit screen and take a screenshot of that because the account was so old, there's no records on it. But like I said, I have the stack of 180 accounts so that you guys could see.
So Jen, do you want to wait and look at them, or what do you?
Yeah, can you stick those in Bridget's office? And then I think before approving not just these adjustment reports, but just adjustment reports in the future, it would be helpful to have a transaction list of all the deposits and refunds. I think it's the 604 fund. If we had that printed out to go with.
I know. So Bridget will have the stuff regarding the adjustments because she will do adjustments from now on. But when we do so she'll actually do the adjustments herself, but as far as issuing checks, those checks all end up in the claims docket, just like any other check that is created.
Right.
So if you want to approve like the refunds every month before I actually create the check for it that goes with the adjustment report, that's fine as well. Whatever you guys choose to do now that it's not in my hands.
Can you print? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just looking through the town code, and 5217E says, upon action by the board to disconnect service pursuant to 52.14 for delinquent payment of charges or fees, the board may direct the clerk treasurer to withdraw the owner's deposit and credit it to the delinquent charges. So at least for that, I think, probably should have a motion and a vote for those.
Michelle, can you print? I'm pretty sure it's the 604 fund. Can you just print a account transaction or screenshot it, or just for each?
Are you talking about for like the refunds deposited?
Yeah.
Is that what? Because the refunds, I mean, yeah, that would. I'm trying to think if that would just separate. Because it's under the fund of, because like when they pay their deposit, it goes into the deposit, and then it comes out of the appropriation of refunded or applied and refunded.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can do that. We haven't issued very many refunds, but especially if we do this large amount, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, because then it should show the deposits and the refunds. If it's just the whole 604, all the transactions for it. Okay, so
it won't show it being adjusted in funds. It would just show the checks being created to refund any remaining deposit to anybody that's owed a deposit. The adjustment report is going to show what was applied, what deposit amount was applied to the account. So that number is not going to match what the check is going to be. Because like say they have a $125 deposit on the adjustment report, if their bill's only $78, you're going to see the negative $78. And then on the check, you're going to see the difference of the 125 minus the 78 that they're owed back.
Yeah.
So those numbers aren't going to match. You would just have to look at the account and add them together to show that if that's what you're looking for.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not being clear. So is 604 the fund? Let me just check. I have it right here.
Water is 601.
604. So, yeah, 604 is water utility meter deposit. So can you just print something each month that shows all the transactions in and out of that fund?
Does that fund not show up on the appropriation report, though? Or are you wanting a detailed?
Right.
Okay, yeah, that's fine if there's, and we don't have refunds every month.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I can. Just remind me if I forget.
Okay. And
Well, you want to move on, and Jen, you can ask Michelle and get the information you need, and then we'll okay them next month.
Okay.
Okay?
And I don't have a key to Bridget's office, so I'll just put all of that stuff on the back table for her to take in the office tomorrow when she gets here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I have a question on the refunds. If there are people we can't contact, would that go to that state thing that they publish in the paper that you have money coming?
Indiana unclaimed property.
Right.
Oh, you're asking? Yeah, I think so.
So that's what would, and that would clear our books up if we sent to that?
I believe that's correct, yeah.
All right. Anybody else comments on this? Okay, next on the agenda is the utility report with Mark Harlow. Go ahead, Mark.
Yep. Good evening, everyone. The first item that we're looking at is underwater. I'd mentioned at the March board meeting that this was a year where we were required to do lead and copper testing. So I saw the opportunity to, over the internet, get some training on that. And the only reason I did that was I knew that the federal EPA is coming out with some new rules concerning lead pipes and lead and copper testing. But after training, I discovered a couple things. One is the new rules are primarily guided towards schools and daycare centers and the additional testing that they will be required to do. And the second thing is that right now it's in the comment period, so any new rules that come into effect won't do so until 2024. So as far as the town goes, we're just required to do the 10 samples every 3 years like we always have. And as I had mentioned, I went back through the records for several years, and the tests have always come back good, and that's primarily due to the age of our water distribution system, which relative to others is fairly new. Next item is wastewater. So under our contract agreement with Lafayette Renew, twice a year we're required to inspect all of the grease traps and grit chamber inspections. So I do that in the spring and fall, and I'll be doing the spring inspections here in April, just making you aware of it. So if you hear anything from any business owners, it'll be me. The next item is spring lift station maintenance. I'd like to go ahead and get that scheduled. Each spring and fall, we have FJF come in and test the pumps, clean the grease and soap out of the wet wells, and make sure everything's running right. As a point of reference, it cost us, at least in 2020, it cost us $1,500 for each visit. I don't know that I need approval to move forward with that. I guess I'm just making you aware of it. But if you'd like to make a motion to approve the spring lift station maintenance, that would be fine. So I'll leave it up to you.
I'll make a motion. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I think last we decided to forego a motion every time clean the lift stations and just have Mark go ahead and do it per our contract with the vendor.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Reed. That's fine with me.
Good. So we'll move on to streets. I was hopeful that by tonight I would have had some word about the community crossing grant application that we submitted, but the state has not released any news releases concerning this yet. But as soon as I hear something, I'll be sure and forward the information on to all of you. Next item is South Yost Drive. So after the last board meeting there at the end of March, I went ahead and recontacted NDOT about that small stretch of road, which just so to give you a reference, that's just from State Road 38 to the south to the T Road where you go to Dollar General. So whenever I push the issue a bit further, they seem to feel like, no, that's not their road, that is Dayton Road. And I said, well, then why was it rejected whenever we tried to receive community crossing grant funding for it so we could do the work that's needed there? And their last response was that they would have to look into that a bit further. So, yeah. So I think that I'll keep pursuing it. And I guess the worst case scenario is that, okay, it is our road. But yes, you're able to apply for 75-25 cost share to make any needed repairs to it. Of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, won't you get it up to specs and then we'll take it over? But we'll see how that unfolds. Yeah. But we'll see how it unfolds. I just wanted you to know that I'm still pursuing that. Next item is annual street sweeping. So, contacted Sean Kyer about the annual fish fry, and it is Saturday, May 15th. And I know from past experience that that's usually when everybody has their yard sales and a lot of people in town, so we try to get the street sweeping done before that. So I'd like to probably schedule the street sweeping the week preceding that, or just a few days preceding the fish fry. As a point of reference on that, last year in 2020, the street sweeping cost us $1,365. Any questions about that? Okay. The last item I have is the State Road 38 utility relocate. I received an email from the state and Shrewsbury Engineering today, which included 4 things. One was the official notice to proceed, the executed highway utility agreement, which is where it's a contract signed by the town and the state where we'll pay for up to $37,000 for the necessary work on relocating the water lines. They also included the NDOT permit to do the work, and there was one other thing. Let's see. Oh, they also sent the routing form, which I'll give to Michelle, which that routing form will give her the information she needs to seek reimbursement for any costs that we incur to have this work done. So the next step in this project will be to find a contractor, give us a bid on it, and hopefully it will be under the estimated cost. But I'm working with BF&S Engineering right now on moving forward with this. I'm not for sure when they're going to do the state highway project, this section down, but I do know that bids for that had to be in on April 7th, so I'm sure it takes them 30 days to review bids and then 30 days to get approval and all that stuff. So I look for that project, which the one we're concerned with is where it goes from Conjunction to Adams Road. It would not surprise me if that project began towards mid to late summer. So that's going to be a traffic. It'll make traffic interesting here, that's for sure. But I'm trying to stay in contact with everybody and make sure that our concerns, whether it's about moving water lines or traffic rerouting and so forth, are being heard. So if any of you have any questions or concerns about it, be sure and let me know so I can pass those on to NDOT. But I believe that's it for me. Any questions, anybody?
Hey, I do have a quick question, Mark. I keep forgetting to ask you. I've had numerous people ask me, do you know what is going on with the signs of the lane closures that's starting on the 14th?
Yes, they're going to be putting up a traffic signal at the bridge that crosses White Creek out here. They're going to be doing some work on or around that bridge here starting, I think, this week or next.
Okay. So how's that? Do you know how that's going to impact us, or is it just going to be down to one lane?
Yeah, it won't impact us. It'll slow traffic up, especially when Subaru's letting out. I'm sure it'll stack up traffic for a bit, but it'll just be a regular traffic light to alternate traffic through that bridge one lane.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, thanks. And it was worth checking into that on the 38 project. They said, when I talked to them, they said no matter what that cost would be on relocating, they would be covering it. But you're saying they only cover up to $37,000, right?
Yes. Let me look at this here. Yes, the approved cost estimate is $37,135, and that is for engineering and construction, which they got that cost estimate from BF&S Engineering, and they made sure that it was generous enough that it should by far cover the cost.
Okay, so yeah, it should cover it then. Well, that's great. That's a great savings.
Yeah. I guess as one last item, there is a meeting Thursday at 10 o'clock out here at the Methodist Church concerning State Road 38, but it's for the section from Adams Road to Highway 421. Everybody's welcome to attend it, and I'm going to just as a representative for the town, but it's really for that section that they discussed at the previous meeting out there.
All right, thanks. Hey, at the last meeting, you brought up about a bill, and you told me later the next day to ask at this meeting, but about when they did the stormwater ditch clean out on the north end of town, the contractor damaged a fence, and then Mr. Fensett gave us a bill for $400 or $500, and I came in and talked to you, and the contractor, I feel, is responsible for this because they did the damage. I don't know. You said bring it up before the board, but it seems
you're right. I'm glad you. Yeah. So what we have right now is a cost estimate, and I think it was $364. So no work's been done. But yeah, that's that we're at, is that we got a hold of Mr. Fensett. He came out and looked at it, said, yeah, we can fix the fence for $364, and that's where it sits right now. So we do need a decision whether the town's going to pay for it, or we're going to ask the contractor who cleaned the ditch out to pay for it. Just either way, so I can contact the homeowner and let him know we're moving forward.
What's everybody think?
Yeah, I think we have the contractor. Agreed.
I think the contractor should do it, but we should get the fence fixed to satisfy the homeowner as soon as possible.
Okay, so
I agree.
Okay, so Mark, you want to contact the contractor and tell him what the bid is and just let them know so they don't get surprised or say we didn't tell them uh, and they'll probably say go ahead and do it and give them the bill. Is that okay? Or
Well, do we want to go ahead and do the work, pay the bill, and ask the contractor to reimburse us, or do you want me to contact the contractor first so that
I'd
he
contact,
gets the bill?
I would call the contractor up so he knows about it. Otherwise, if we paid it and we replaced it, we're liable for it if we haven't contacted him. So
Okay, I'll
if
give
it's
him a
one
call
phone
tomorrow
call,
then.
it'd take a half an hour to call them and just tell them what's happening.
Sure, yeah, I
And
can
then if
do
they
that.
say they're not going to do it, we can go from there.
All right.
But we spent 46,000 with them. I think they could repair and pay for the damage that they did. Any contractor would do that. So, uh, okay. Thanks for your report, Mark. Uh,
Yep.
Next on the agenda is a town opening of the town hall for the customers coming in. I'll open it up for suggestions from the council on ideas. I've got a thought. Ashley, what would you think? What are you thinking about this?
Yeah, I visited several establishments over the weekend, and everybody seems to be open, and I think our town hall needs to be open.
All right. Anybody else have any thoughts?
I agree.
I think we open it to pay the bills, but we follow the Tippecanoe County Health Department's recommendations as far as social distancing and masks.
Okay. Good ideas. Anybody else? Jen?
I was just gonna say that I do think we should open. Bridget's hours are Monday through Friday, 9 to 3. So I think it makes sense to be open Monday through Friday, 9 to 3.
All right. Sounds good. I'll make a motion to open the office with proper COVID safety measures and social distancing Monday through Friday, 9 to 3, or by appointment beginning Monday, April the 19th.
I'll second.
Do we have a
Can we talk about the proper COVID safety precautions or whatever you said it was?
Okay. Go ahead and talk.
Are there specifics or what?
Do what?
Are there specifics with that or?
Well, like Stan said, check with the health department, I suppose, and if they suggest you wear, I don't think you can strap anybody down and force them to put a mask on, but I think the thing is they make suggestions and say, I would think stay 6 foot apart, and if they suggest masks, then be nice for the people to wear them, but see what they say, what their thoughts are.
I think we do like the same thing at the post office. You put a mask on and you keep your distance in there. We could do the same thing at town hall.
Yeah.
Places I've been in, Tippecanoe County and other counties, masks are not required for entrance. They are recommended, but social distancing still seems to be somewhat in play. But I'll go with the county health department's recommendations.
Yeah, I think they'll tell you to social distance and recommend you wear a mask, but they won't force you to wear a mask. But like you go to Menards and you can't walk in the store without a mask. You go to Lowe's, you can walk in there. They recommend a mask, but they won't kick you out if you don't have one. So we go with the health.
So we'll be Lowe's. We'll be the Lowe's situation. We'll recommend you wear it, but we're not going to kick you out.
Right. Okay, we got a motion in a second.
This is Reed. Just
Yeah.
wanted to add. So I believe that the state of Indiana is still requiring masks in all state buildings. And then locally, masks are not required unless the business requires it or the local government requires it. So, the town council could now vote to require masks in town hall, but you don't have to. And if you don't, then I think it'll just default to masks are recommended but not required.
Okay, thanks, Reed.
But still with the social distancing, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
So I did see something come across the listserv that had one. I believe it was a town that did require masks. So I think it'll be, some places will require it and some will not require it. So I think it's completely up to what you want to do. And then, I think everyone is still recommending social distancing, 6 feet.
Okay, guys. Go ahead, Ashley.
Well, I think we don't require masks, but you could suggest that people wear it. The businesses that I've been in over the weekend, I was in quite a few all over the state of Indiana. That seemed to be the common sign was masks not required but recommended. And Bridget's behind a big glass window. I would think most people coming to the town hall are there to see her. So, folks want to wear a mask, they can, but I don't think it should be required.
The businesses I've been in, Ashley, just so you know, all of them have a sign on there that masks are required. Tractor Supply, Menards, whatever. Now, Menards enforces it. You go to Tractor Supply and 1 out of 50 people do not wear a mask, but they still have, I think there is a difference that most people have on their masks required, but I think a lot of them don't want to get into a fight and wrestle somebody to the ground or something. So,
Right, but I think a lot of that is because the governor removed the mandate for the state, and so a lot of people are wanting to get away from that. So I think the recommendation that you wear a mask is, we just post the recommendation, but we still require social distancing. So if someone comes in and then someone follows in behind them, they need to maintain the 6 feet away. We need to give everybody some teeth in it without coming down too hard on them either. But everybody needs to have some breathing space, basically.
Yeah. So it sounds like we just want to come up, make the motion that we recommend the social distancing and recommend the mask, but if they don't refuse to wear it, we're not going to do anything about it. Is that right?
Yep.
That's my
Okay.
thinking.
All right. So we got a motion and a second to open the office Monday through Friday, 9 to 3, or by appointment, with this safety measure, social distancing. See how it goes. We'll have a roll call vote. Jen?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so it passes 5-0. Okay, next is, I wanted to add something. On the in-person meetings for our town board meetings like tonight, let's discuss that in May, and we'll gather some information in this next 30 days and come up with some thoughts and a solution on that. So it's getting real close here, so it'll give us a little time to do a little more planning. Next on the agenda is the Dayton United Methodist. Like we said before, the Dayton United Methodist Church has really been generous in making donations to the Dayton utilities to help people who might be struggling the last 2-3 months. I don't want to sound rude here, but I think it's appalling and disgusting that the donations have been awarded by the clerk in an unethical manner that rewards her political supporters and her pals, and just a few of them. There's been some very few
That's
people.
that's uncalled for.
Ashley, can I talk? Very few people have there's been some big amounts of money, $500 and $600 to a few people, and we need to, it should be spread around. But anyway, the utility board needs a plan to bring some integrity and morals back in the way that the money is distributed. And we need to go ahead and set some parameters of who is eligible and determine an unbiased way of selecting recipients. I think that we should also exclude anyone who has received a donation before, and we want to exclude town officials and employees. So we ought to have a little discussion about it. I'm sure, Ashley, you can go ahead and talk now and say what you want. Okay, I guess you don't want, anybody else got any thoughts on this?
So I agree that it's been handled inappropriately. Ashley, I don't know if you are aware, but this money was going to just 2 or 3 people each month. And like Ron said, somebody got $600. It was being given to people, and somebody was left with a credit on their account of over $100. So not just to help them get caught up, but to even give them a credit. So yeah, I think that was totally inappropriate. And I would like to see it go to more people instead of just helping a couple people each month. I'm thinking break it up into 10 different $100 donations. And we all have a printout of, showing the accounts that are past due and the amount. So we could look maybe for people that are behind but are making an effort, to get caught back up. And the thing is, we have to have a way to pick who gets it. So my thoughts are have Bridget as the utility clerk and then Ron and Carla as utility president and vice president. If the 3 of you guys could get together and look over the accounts and just choose, 10 accounts each month, and then you can let the rest of the council know, these are the ones that we applied it to. That would be my suggestion.
Can
I agree.
I win so
I
that
agree
everybody
too.
knows
Yeah, go ahead.
how I chose the people that I chose?
Go ahead.
So Dayton United Methodist Church contacted me a couple months ago and said that there was this program that they have, and that they've decided that they can offer $1,000 a month to utility office to put toward people's accounts that have been affected by COVID or past year, who are struggling to get caught up and everything like that. And they said that, however we did, but so the thing is yes, so over the past couple of months, it has gone to 3 or 4 people. However, how I've chosen those people is simply by printing off a account with balances report and scrolling down the amount, not the names. Those are not any of my personal friends. They are not any employees, elected officials, family members, or anything like that. The thing is with that money that the Dayton United Methodist Church is giving us, they have said that they are doing it to where, so if you apply $100 to Joe Smith's account, that, and say something happens in a couple months and he gets 3 months behind and he wants to go to the church and ask for $300, that's it. They do help him for another year. So you have to give them the names. So by giving people, can I please, I'm not trying to argue, I'm just trying to explain how I did what I did and why I did it. How you choose to go forward now is just business. But so I did not go and think, oh, well, I know this person. I printed off the list. I scrolled it down. If I saw a person with a high balance, I went into their account. I looked to see how long they've been past due. Have they made any efforts to make any form of payment? So that is why, because if you sit here and choose to 10 people's accounts every single month and only do 100, that's not helping anybody get out of a hole. I've been here 3 years next month, and in those 3 years, people come to me, explain they've got cancer, they had illness, they had a car accident, they lost a spouse, they lost a parent, they were out of work with all of this COVID. So I know these people's personal situations, and Bridget will get to know them as well, but they've never once went to a council member to explain their situation because it's private. Nobody likes to admit when they have money issues.
Okay,
so
Michelle.
It's not been anything personally picked. I've gone down the list and went off the accounts, and those are how the people were chose. And Church was okay with that.
Okay, Michelle, first of all, thank you. You said something in your first sentence very important. You said the church, and then you said we would choose. Well, we did not choose you. We found out accidentally that you were dispersing this money. I think when the church or anybody donates.
No, I came to you and Jen and told you.
No, after a couple months, yes. And so anyway,
no, it was the first month.
No, it wasn't. So I went to the church.
Yes, it was.
The church prefers to have a lot more donations to more people and help quite a few people. I think most people in this town will agree that if that money, $1,000, is out there, and I know who these people are, and I'm going to be real blunt and real nice, that I think you're lying right through your teeth to us right now, because those people, about every one of them, had your political signs in their yard, wore a black shirt, and trash us on Facebook. So we're going to get away from that.
I don't know one single one of them personally,
Michelle,
so don't lie.
Me, please. I'm finishing talking.
No, excuse yourself. You're a liar.
Michelle, please be quiet. I am not lying, and if I could make those counts public, the whole world would know who's telling the truth. But anyway, we're going to get to where we need to pick and distribute it more. I think 10 people would be happy as a clam to get $100 a piece versus their neighbor getting 600 or 500 and them not getting a penny. So we're going to be fair. We're not going to pick family, friends, the council members, anybody related, and we're going to try
and there
to.
Wasn't.
We're
okay.
Okay.
So Michelle, first you said.
Oh, also Jen, hey, real quick. That person, when you said that somebody got added a credit, that is a downright lie. That person must have, whoever you're talking about, must have made a payment themselves the credit. Not one single person that I applied a payment to ended up with a credit. So you guys really need to learn what you're talking about before you make accusations against people.
That donation was put in there, and immediately there was a credit, Michelle, for the next month.
Yeah,
so.
Because they made a payment themselves.
Well, that's not.
That's how that works.
The payment is not listed on the printout sheet then, so.
That's not how it works, Michelle. You said that you didn't help these people because of who they are, that you just went down the list, but then 30 seconds later you said you know their stories and you know their struggles, and that's why you helped them.
I'm saying everybody in town. I do not personally know a single person that money got applied to.
Well, we'll know in the future.
We can't prove that you're lying. You're just going to keep lying. That's fine. I don't even know that these people shouldn't have been helped in some way. It was just too much. And if there is concern that these people will be upset because the church won't help them again in the future, perhaps you choose the 10 people. Bridget or Carla or Ron contacts the 10 people and says, hey, we would like to put this $100 on your account. If we do so, there's a chance that Dayton United Methodist Church may not give you help for the next year if you ask them. Would you like to be a recipient of this $100 or no?
That sounds like
you guys just proved in Ron's comment that you guys are discriminatory to the people who got those because they supported me and not you guys. And I did not know if they supported me or not, but it just shows right here. You
Michelle,
just proved that you're going to pick your supporters and that you're discriminatory against the residents that did get chosen because they are quote unquote black people.
Said we're not going to give
That's what you just did.
$600 to our friends. That's what we said. We're not going to give $600 to our friends and $100.
None of those people are my friends. Go and ask every single one of them. I've never met any of them personally outside of them coming in to pay a bill.
You're a damn liar. You're lying through your teeth. I know who they are. If they're not your friends, I'll move out of town, Michelle. For God's sake.
You better move out of town because you're the liar.
Okay, Carla, go ahead, please.
Let's take a lie detector test and see who passes it.
That's okay with me. Let's just give the list of the town people.
You set it up.
Yeah. Carla, did you want to
I muted her just for the record.
Okay. I would just like to say, one, I'm not even really sure how to, I'm so upset and so angry right now because that Michelle would say that I would choose someone who supported me. I would never do that, ever. In a million years would I ever do that. So to have never talked to me about this and to make that accusation, I find that very offensive. One.
That's what Ron has pointed out, not you, Ron.
Ron didn't say that I would do that. You said that I would do that. You said all of us would do that.
I muted her, Carla, so that you can finish.
That's fine. Two, if I don't know if what Michelle said is true or not in her process, but the way she explained it, if she actually followed that process, she has something going there. Because that's my thought on the thing. You go down, who needs it, let's discuss it with the utility clerk who, as Michelle did point out, will learn about people in the town because I'm sure that's who they will talk with. Agreed. And then the three of us would sit down, go through the list and choose people based on need. And three, I can almost promise you, I shouldn't say promise because I can't say that for sure. However, the likelihood that if someone gets the assistance via our town from the church, if 6 months down the road they run into a problem and they go to the church, if they're up front and tell the church, I did receive this, but I've run into a bind because I would be shocked if they turned them down. So I know that they said once a year, and via our program, that's probably true, running their funds, helping the town. But if they went directly to the church, that would be their choice. I think there's no reason for this to be as volatile as it is when all that anybody wants to do is to help people. The church wants to help the town. The council members want to help people who have had issues because of COVID for whatever reason. That's all we need to do. The bickering, the fighting, the arguing, who's right, who's wrong is irrelevant. So please, I'm asking all of you, can we set that aside and can we make a decision on how we're going to process this, make that decision and move on, please. That's all I have to say.
Sounds good, Carla. So
I agree.
Anybody got any more thoughts on Jen's idea on the $100 donations and then whoever's utility president and utility vice president and utility clerk go down through the list and let Bridget sort of check them and see their personal stories and make recommendations. Is that okay with everybody?
I think it's great.
Yeah, and then, instead of helping.
This is Reed.
Yeah, go ahead, Reed.
So this would be a donation to the town. That goes to the town's general account. And so that has to be, before those funds that came in can go out, it has to be approved by the town council. Is that how you guys understand it?
Well, it hasn't been that before. It wasn't done that way.
Yeah, I'm saying, is that your understanding of how the process should be done going forward?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But as long as you don't.
You need a vote. You need a motion.
As long as you don't
vote.
put names out there, you can't put.
Right.
If you approve
it. Right. You just have to approve the expenditure. I mean, what information you provide is not material.
Reed,
the important thing is that money doesn't go out for a general donation without a motion and a vote.
Okay.
Can I explain to you how the church has handled the checks giving to me so that we don't have that situation? Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I explain to you how the check, or how the church has issued the checks to me so we don't have that issue? Is that okay with you? And then you can suggest to the council. Okay.
I don't understand.
I'm just going to explain.
Let's just go ahead and make the motion.
When the church, okay, can I please explain to Reed? I'm not talking to you, Ron. I'm talking to Reed, please. So the church needs the names of the people that the accounts are or that the funds are going to, because they have to create that list and that log in case the person, comes to them in the next 6 months, they have that log. So what has happened over the past couple months is go through the accounts. I go through them and decide and write the amounts down for each account. I email Kathy at Dayton United Methodist Church. I say, okay, here's the X amount of names. This is the amount applied to each account. She then creates a check for the $1,000, and in the like how when you get your checks, when it's broken down, it says what money gets applied to each person and their account. So then when that check gets to the utility office, that check then is directly, like if anybody was dropping off a check, then that check gets applied to those accounts with the names on it. Because personally, I think we are getting into kind of weird, like how this check was just issued and I was forced to deposit it. By doing what Dayton United Methodist Church would, Bridget would just email after they decide what accounts it's going to go to, and whether it be $100 each account or whatever they decide, Bridget then would email at the church the names of the people, the amount for each account. She writes that on the check stub, gives it to Bridget. Bridget uses that check to make that payment on those accounts. And then it's just in the deposits for that day when she gives me the deposit. So then we don't have to do all of that me deposit, then they have to wait until the next month, all that back and forth stuff.
I think that's a perfectly fine process.
What does the church want to do? Do they want to make an unrestricted donation, or do they want to make a specific donation that is going to the people that they want to donate? Because
it's $1,000 a month.
That makes all the difference.
It's $1,000 a month.
If you make a donation and you say, this is going to paint town council door red, and the town council approves it, then that is one category. And if you say, I want to donate money to the town and it's unrestricted, that's a completely different animal. So,
no, it is strictly to the utility payment.
Okay.
What's that?
It's $1,000. It's a max $1,000 a month, and it's strictly to help people who are in need for utility payments. Nothing else. It's strictly going to utility bills.
That's not specific enough. I mean, if they want to give if they want to say, we have the people and we just want it to go directly to that, then I think, that's fine. Like, you can follow their intent. Otherwise, it just goes to the town, and, the town council actually has the authority to decide. And the church needs to know that. Most likely they're just going to approve what the church wants.
Read what Kathy told me. I just talked to her several times in the last week. What they want to do is give $1,000 a month, just a check, to the utilities office, and our town board will pick out the people. They don't want to have any doings with picking out the actual people. And after we okay that, and we can take their check and disperse it, the $1,000, whatever, all they want is at some time to know the list of people so they can keep it in their book. So if that person walks into the church later and asks for something else, they'll at least have it on file. Does that help?
And I just forwarded
what
you
they want.
Kathy's email read.
Okay. I mean, we can talk about it later, but I think that's all. We need clarification. But if that's how the church wants it, that it's the town board's decision, then it has to be approved at a public meeting, and there needs to be a motion and an approval for for those funds to go out.
Okay. We'll double check.
If you read what Kathy's email says, you can see what their intent is of wanting to do.
Yeah. Okay, we'll double check with Kathy over there, and we'll see exactly. We'll do it the easiest way we can that doesn't disclose names or anything, and get it dispersed. So anyway, I don't know. I guess we need a motion here. I'll make a motion to distribute 10 $100 donations from the Dayton United Methodist Church. The people recipients chosen from a pool of accounts which are carrying a balance but not making regular payments. And for Bridget, Carla, and I to make the selections, ensuring that the recipients have not received a prior donation, nor are employees or officials of the town.
Yeah, I second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on that. Have any more discussion on it before we vote? Okay, we have that motion and a second by Jen. And so how do you vote, Jen?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so it passes 5-0. So we'll tweak it from there, and we'll go from there.
So now, Reed, would it be okay for me to make a motion to disperse the $1,000 that we got so that they can apply that? Or are we waiting to do any of it? Can we have a motion to disperse the money that we have now? Or are we just waiting and figuring it all out?
Yeah. You have any that you already know? You don't have to. I mean, do you have any that the town council already knows? People? You don't have to put in the motion who the specific people are.
No.
Do you have any that you've already decided?
No.
Okay. Well then.
Reed, how am I supposed to do that when I have to be provided a detailed invoice to create a check to make a payment? So how is that going to work? Because I'm going to have no invoice. I have to be provided with a detailed invoice before I can cut a check. So how is that going to work if they're going to take the check from the church, make me deposit, and then I have to cut a check back out? I'm not going to have a detailed invoice. And so how does that work?
I'm sure that there's a process for a donation. I don't know, but I mean, State Board of Accounts went through this explanation regarding donations. I would think that I don't know. I mean, I would have to look into it. All I'm saying is that there's two options. One, money comes in to the town and it goes out of the town with no oversight or no council approval. Or before the money that's donated can go back out, it has to be approved. And that's all I'm saying. I believe that that's...
So I have a question.
Still approve.
Otherwise, donations would be completely unregulated.
Reed, I have a question.
Yes.
So the process that Michelle said that took place when they did it was, here's the people that I chose. And then the church sent a check with those people's names, and that money was then applied to those people's accounts. And then the money got deposited to the town coffers. Is that system? Are you saying that system is improper?
Well, that's not what Ron just told me, so it's a completely different fact scenario. But if the church is actually saying,
explain it.
What Michelle said.
This is the whole thing that matters. It's not whether the church writes a check with a name on it. It's who decides where the money goes. And if the church is saying, we're giving the town council $1,000 a month, and the town council is going to decide who that goes to, and we just need to know after they decide, then that has to go through the council for approval of before that money. I mean, regardless, it has to go through the council because how does anyone know that what the church said is actually being carried out? I mean, that's
fair. I just needed to hear. Because what she was saying made sense, but what you were saying also made sense.
Yeah, it's just an extra step. It goes, yeah.
Right.
I'm not saying anything wrong with that. It's just saying that it needs to go through the council for approval before funds are dispersed. The
council would still approve it and then send it to the church. The church would cut a check with those people's names on it, give it to Bridget, and then Bridget would just apply it. So the council would still be approving those names.
Which we did not do before, but from this point forward, then we will.
Yeah, that sounds
That's all
fine.
I was saying. That's all I was
saying.
Okay,
so if we follow that same process, but we approve it, then send the names to the church can still send the check and follow that to avoid, to keep as much confidentiality as possible. You're saying that would still work?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I just want, money in, money out. No one has the authority to, send out that $1,000 until there's approval from the town council. That's all you need.
Okay. Good. All right. Well, I'd like to thank the Dayton United Methodist Church again for their generous donation. It's really nice and it's really helpful, and I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate it. And I also want to say thanks for everything they do for our community. Any comments from any comments from the council on the utilities? You guys there?
I have none.
Okay. Ashley, you got anything?
Yes. If Mark Harlow's still on here, where are we at on contacting homeowners along the drainage ditch along Dayton Road? Last time you said that there was one homeowner that still had not been contacted. Is that still the case, or can you elaborate any on that?
Yes, there was one that has not responded to my request, and I sent an email to all of you with their address and name, asking if any of you knew this resident, and if so, if you would please go talk to them. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. We've got 5 out of 6, I guess I would say, but there's one homeowner that is not responding to my request to meet.
Do you want me to go knock on their door, Mark? I don't know them, but I can.
Well, I guess I didn't get a response from anybody, so I assume nobody knows this resident, so I just left it there.
Oh, I'll go over there. They're in my neck of the woods.
That's fine, and if you would do that, and then be sure to invite them to meet with you and me, and properly explain what we would like to do. That would be fine.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
fine. Give it a shot.
All right.
Anything else, Ashley?
No, that's all I have. I just want to make sure we're still moving forward on that project.
Yeah, okay. I got a couple things. We've waited for several months now I'm sure everybody wants to know about this utility rate study, because this council wants to do everything in their power to lower the utility rates, if at all possible, for our users. We're trying to look at everything, and I contacted Steve Brock, and he said he's been asking Michelle for several things, and finally I think Michelle last week got him the things he did need. It's taken quite a while. We're going to be looking at where the bills are paid and what fund they come out of, because some things have been paid out of the wrong funds, but we'll go over all that. But anyway, now that he's finally got these, we should get the result for the next meeting, Steve said a couple days ago. So another thing is, I want to mention about that we're looking into the upstairs of the town hall, and I'm waiting to hear from a restoration expert to go up there and see what he has to say. And when that guy contacts me back, Ashley, you and I can meet with him and go upstairs and see what needs to be done. I think it's going to be expensive, and it's just, but so everybody knows that upstairs has always been for 40 years a cold storage room for just records that aren't needed anymore. It's not a usable room. It's lousy shape. Plaster's coming off. We sweep it up a few times a year, but we can check in the restoring the thing and doing something with it. But municipal commercial building, there's probably going to be outlandish price. But no one on this council that I know of, absolutely no one, wants Michelle or anybody to use the upstairs except for only storing for storage, where you might walk up once a year and put some records up that the auditor has done past now, or there's some kind of equipment or something you throw up there. But other than that, that will never be used for offices or anything in the condition it is, and nobody is trying to push that on Michelle or anybody. So, and then the last thing I have is, Michelle, if you could do me a favor and contact Menards and Staples to update our charge list and our tax exempt list. When I go there, there's still people on there, from Ron Merkel to Mike Harris to Tammy Nice to John Swift, Max Whitlock, Dave Laniger, Tracy Harris, Lanny Hahn, and others. I think here's what I think ought to be on there, and you can take it from here. But probably the present council, the clerk treasurer, the utilities clerk, Mark Harlow, and Scott Taylor should be on these lists for charging and stuff, if that's okay with everybody, unless somebody else has got a different idea. So
Menards should already be updated, because I sent them a thing when this new council took over, and Staples, I asked Staples when I went in there, and they said that they did not see anybody or like when they just pulled up the town of Dayton, they said they have nothing to do with that. Anybody can create a rewards account. I know there's one that are under your name, and I created one that was specifically. So I have
Okay.
no idea where you're getting all of these other names because they said that they did not see them.
Okay. At Staples, you're right partly on that, but they also have a tax exempt list that when they bring that up, when you use a tax exempt, then it has this quite a list. And I'll give you tomorrow. They gave me a pamphlet with the phone numbers to call in and change that. At Menards is probably a week and a half ago when I was in there. A few weeks ago, when you go out to the cash line, register line, and you bring up Dayton's account, it's got pretty much the right people. There's still some that shouldn't be on there, I think, like Max Whitlock and stuff. If you go up to their desk, and I'll give you this sheet because they printed it for me. If you go up to their desk in a file cabinet, they got the present people that can charge, and that's where this whole list is of people that can charge. So if you go in there, you can get permission at the desk to charge because they have that list in that file. But I think they're a little goofy too, and I think they don't know what one hand does with the other one. So I told them the list of names at the checkout counter is different from the list in your file. So I'll give you both these sheets and the information they gave me. And if it's okay with everybody to have the council, the clerk treasurer, the utilities clerk, the marshal, and Scott and Mark on there, that should cover everything we need if somebody's got to run in there. Is that okay with everybody? To have Michelle change to that?
That's fine with me.
Yeah, I'm pulling up a letter that I have right here that I emailed Dawn on July 9th of 2020 that says, please remove the following names: Mike Harris, Tammy Nice, Tyrone Taylor. Please add the following names: Jen Menango, Carlos Snodgrass, and Stan Kiger, because when they had given me the list, the only names that were on there that needed to be removed was Mike, Tammy, and Tyrone. So I will ask Dawn if there's anybody else, but from what I was told,
where was that at?
I emailed Menards this on July 9th of 2020 to update, and I emailed it to Dawn, and Dawn is the front end manager. So I will message her again and ask her because I went in and saw the form, and those were the only ones.
Okay.
Plus there's
The form,
Scott.
Okay, a week ago, the form that they pulled out at the counter is Ron Kohler, Ron Merkel, Mike Harris, Tammy Nice, John Swick, Max Whitlock, Dave Laniger, and Lanny Hahn, Roman Hahn.
Yes,
that's who they have.
She said that they said that they keep all of those so that they have running record, but that should not be the updated list. I have the email right here that I forwarded to her.
Just double check on it, please. That's all I'm asking. Just double check.
I will email her.
We got it. Okay, any other council comments? Okay, if there's no other business, then this meeting is adjourned and we'll go into Jen's meeting.
It's April 12th, and this is the regular monthly meeting of the Dayton Town Council. Ron made the opening statements and already took roll call at the beginning of the utility meeting. So we're going to continue with our clerk treasurer, town attorney, town manager, town marshal, and all 5 council members still on the phone. So second on the agenda after roll call is town attorney Reed Murtaugh. Do you have anything, Reed? Uh-oh. Reed, are you there? And
Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, there he is.
Sorry, I was on mute.
That's okay.
Okay. I don't have any new items for town attorney. I can just go through the usage for 2021. So January again was $5,775. February was $2,376.50. March was $576. So 2021 total right now is $8,727.50 in attorney fees. And that's all I have.
Thanks.
Yep.
on the agenda is the allowance docket. So we have the allowance dockets for February and March, but we've not been provided time cards for either of those months. So we won't be able to approve those until we have the time cards. So we will move on to the approval of the claims. Okay, we have a number of claims that we've had for 5 days or more. I got these either straight from the vendor or from Scott or Mark, and we'll approve these individually, and we'll need to sign the individual APV for each of these. So I move to approve Alpha Business Technologies invoice number 214180 dated 3/25/21 in the amount of $336, as well as invoice number 214181 dated 3/25/21 in the amount of $1,170. Invoice number 214211 dated 4/1/21 in the amount of $180, and invoice number 214204 dated 4/1/21 in the amount of $2,032.50 for a grand total of $3,718.50.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve paying Alpha Business Technologies $3,718.50. Is there any discussion before we vote? Okay, we're voting to approve paying Alpha Business Technologies $3,718.50. How do you vote, Ashley?
No.
Carla?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that passes 4-1. I move to approve Epic Insurance invoice 153198 dated 3/24/21 in the amount of $7,425.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve the invoice from Epic Insurance. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Okay, we've got a motion to pay Epic Insurance $7,425. How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
And I vote yes, that passes 5-0. I move to approve HR Resources invoice 1700 dated 3/5/21 in the amount of $218.75.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to pay the HR Resources invoice. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Okay, we're voting to approve HR Resources in the amount of $218.75. How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
I vote yes, that passes 5-0. I move to approve Indiana Marshals Association invoice 07312-0012 dated 3/15/21 in the amount of $170.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve the Indiana Marshals Association invoice. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Okay, we're voting to approve Indiana Marshals Association for $170. How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
I vote yes, that passes 5-0. I move to approve the Lafayette Ford invoice number 302976 dated 4/6/21 in the amount of $158.59.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve the Lafayette Ford invoice. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Okay, we're voting to approve the Lafayette Ford invoice for $158.59. How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
I vote yes, that passes 5-0. I move to approve municipal electronic invoice 067706 dated 10/12 of 2020 for $70.
Second.
Is there a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve the municipal electronic invoice? Is there any further discussion before we vote? Okay, we're voting to approve municipal electronics for $70. How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
And I vote yes, that passes 5-0. I move to approve Nate's Handyman Service invoice number 23 dated 1/23/21 in the amount of $895.
Second.
And a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve Nate's Handyman Service invoice. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Okay, we're voting to approve Nate's Handyman Service invoice for $895. How do you vote, Ashley?
No.
Carla?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
And I vote yes, that passes 4-1. I move to approve Praetorian Digital invoice 4906 dated 8/29 of 2020 for $425.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to approve the Praetorian Digital invoice. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Okay, we're voting to approve Praetorian Digital invoice 4906 in the amount of $425. How do you vote, Ashley?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
And I vote yes, that passes 5-0. I move to deny invoice number 10920 dated 3/24/21 from Taylor, Chad, Manette, Schneider, and Clutter in the amount of $9,415.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla to deny the Taylor, Chad, Manette, Schneider, and Clutter invoice. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Okay, we're voting to deny the Taylor, Chad, Manette, Schneider, and Clutter invoice 10920 in the amount of $9,415. How do you vote, Ashley?
We're voting to deny. I vote no.
Okay, Carla?
I vote yes to deny.
Dan?
I vote yes to deny.
Ron?
Yes to deny.
And I vote yes, so that passes 4-1. There was a copy of a Staples receipt that I had to pick up some flash drives for the utility office. I put that in the Dropbox to the council, but I failed to get my receipt to Michelle yet, so we'll just save that one for next month. There are two other invoices though that we approved last month. There were two invoices from Haley's that we approved last month, and one of them got paid and one did not. And then also last month we voted to approve paying Ron Kohler, and neither of those have been paid. So I was just wondering, Michelle, if those checks have been written and sent or what's going on.
The one for Haley's that has not been paid is because I have not received that invoice. I was not sent. I went back through my emails. I have not sent that. So if they've sent it to you, if you can please forward it to me, that would be awesome, and I would be more than happy to send out a check for that. And Ron's has not been paid because I have not been provided with a detailed invoice or a voucher because he cannot just turn in a receipt. And it'll be the same for you. You will need to fill out a voucher thing. And I've not been provided that because you guys are supposed to be going and buying things personally when we have accounts.
Michelle, it's been, why don't you ask
Ron,
me?
I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just telling you what I need. I'm not paying it until I get it. End of story.
You haven't paid anything of ours the entire since we were elected, Michelle, and I turned in a proper receipt, like Ashley Stevenson turned in a lousy receipt a year or two ago also, and you paid it. You'll pay his.
He's
We'll
also
pay
filled out
mine.
a voucher, which you have to fill out. A receipt is not acceptable. You guys want to do it by the law? I'm going to make sure I do it by the law.
We'll do it by the
Fill
law.
it
Well,
out,
why don't you get us the
and there you
proper
go.
pages so we can
Okay,
fill it out, Michelle?
Can you email us voucher or stick one in our
There's
mailbox? Whatever you need.
There's a tablet for vouchers in the safe. So once I can access the safe, I would be more than happy to get them out for you.
Okay, you're welcome to access that tomorrow if you'd like. All right, moving on from the claims, we are on to the report. Unfortunately, with the reports yet again, we do have a number of reports from December, January, February, and March, but we don't have the bank rec and the closed check registers for all of these. And I know I've said it before, but I'll say it again. We can't ensure the accuracy of any of these without having all of them. So until we have the closed check registers and the bank recs for each of those months, we're just going to have to add those to the next agenda. Number 6 on the agenda, minutes. Again, this is a lot of minutes all at one time. So instead of just approving some of them, I'm waiting until we get them all caught up. And I don't know how the other council members are doing, but I'm not all the way through them yet. And we are still waiting. I think Michelle's getting some more to us here very soon. Is that correct, Michelle?
Yes, you will have them all before the May meeting. Obviously,
okay.
I've been in the hospital and training the utility clerk, so I've kind of been hands tied at the moment.
Okay. So
You never had them for the whole year, Michelle.
We'll approve these minutes from November 9th.
You haven't signed reports for a whole year, so I don't want to hear it.
Okay. We'll approve these minutes that we have from November 9th all the way up until now at another meeting when they're all, when we can do them all at one time. And any other council members, as you're going through them, if you see corrections that need to be made, if you could email me, we can do it the same way as we did last time. I could make all of our suggested corrections and put them into a Dropbox with the minutes that were given to us, so that you can see the differences, and then we can vote on the final minutes. I think that was a good way of doing it, and it seemed to work out. Okay. Number 7 on the agenda, sidewalk. Town/owner cost share. I believe, Carla, you were kind of spearheading this.
Can I interject and say something here?
Sure.
On the sidewalks, it started with a resident a few weeks ago is putting in a sidewalk and asked us, and we're doing a little research on about what the town policy is, and the town has never put down words of policy, although over the last 15, 18 years, last was a couple years ago, or a few years ago, that they replaced a couple people's sidewalks at 50-50. Town paid 50% and the homeowner paid 50%. In looking at a lot of other towns, we need to discuss this and decide something, because this homeowner wants to know. They're in the process of starting this. A lot of other towns, it seems like they pay at 100%, or most of them pay at 50-50. They have an incentive thing where somebody wants something repaired on the sidewalk and it's 50-50, and of course it's got to be ADA compliant and all that stuff. So that's where we're at now. I think, like Rob Hangey, when he did his sidewalks of the town, that's the last one I remember, they split it 50-50. So we can go from here, I guess. I personally think we ought to go 50-50 and give these people an incentive, and what he's saying, and Ashley and everybody think about that.
I agree.
This is Mark. A couple things. One is we do need a written policy. 2 is that what that policy would include. One is has to be built to town specifications as far as depth, width, and so forth. And I would take care of getting that information to them. And then third is we would want to review the cost estimate before approval of the 50/50 cost share so that we know beforehand what cost is expected and if it is considered reasonable. So there needs to be some structure to it, and I'm more than willing to implement the program for you, but we do need to have a written policy, and just saying yes or no. So I guess that's what I would add to it.
There is some policy, there is some in our ordinance, just nothing specific about sharing cost with the residents. So you might start with what we have already in the book and then build out from there maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyone else? Ashley or Stan? How do you feel about cost sharing?
I think 50/50 is fine, but I think we need to review the existing sidewalk to ensure that it does need replaced.
Sure, and we would. This is Mark. Yeah, we would take it on a case scenario, and we would assess the need for sure to see if it's needed or just wanted. So I agree with you, Stan.
So do we need to go, this person's sort of waiting for an answer. Do we need to go ahead and if we made a motion to do it 50/50 and then Mark could go ahead and talk to the people and be sure everything's kosher and it's needed replaced, and it'd have to get the right estimates and okay those estimates so that they were right, you know. So should we go ahead and make that motion tonight?
Is this something we can just make a motion for? Is this something that needs to be changed in the ordinance? I don't know.
You can make a motion for the specific item before you do the written policy if you want.
Okay.
I mean, for the
We would
specific
have to have all the details about where it's at and who's it for.
Right.
But we could go ahead and basically tell them that this is our thoughts and it should be okay. So that they can plan too.
Depends what the council wants. If they want to wait until they know the details to give an approval, then you don't need to do a motion tonight.
I want to wait for the details.
Okay.
So if we have those details at next month's meeting, and if Mark brings up whatever he's wanting to pull together, then we can make a motion then to move forward.
Yes.
So I'm just wanting to make sure I understand.
So, Mark, I assume you've already been to the sidewalk in the street, and so.
I have. Yep.
Okay. And will you bring those details with you to the next meeting?
I will.
Okay.
And he's already got it. I'll have some details about it. Plus, he's already got a cost estimate or bid for it, so I'll get that from him so that we have all the information that we need to make a informed decision.
Okay. So, Ashley, I don't know that we heard from you. Did you have anything to say about the cost sharing?
No, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, well then we'll move on to the next agenda item, the voting ordinance. So this is one thing that's been priority for me and for others since we came on the council. We need to fix the voting district ordinance. Last year, it kind of got pushed to the wayside because of all the other issues that Reed had to deal with for us. But I really want to get this done this year. When that ordinance was changed to what we have now, we could only vote for 3 of the 5 council members, and then it was changed from 2 to 3 wards. So the residents of this town want to vote for all council members. So we need input on that. We need input on how many wards to have, if we should have wards, whether we should move to staggered terms, like for some of the seats, so that there's not a whole new board ever. And like, do we want to move our elections to a presidential election year? Because that might increase voter turnout. So those are all my thoughts. So I just need to know what the first step in getting this changed is, Reed.
Well, I guess, would you like me to, I mean, that's a lot of different potential. If we just want to go back to how it is, that's, you just need to tell me, and then I can do the work to, make it how it was before. If we're wanting to look at all options, then I would probably look into it and then give you guys some tasks. You can probably talk to some people at the state or at the election board to see what what you can and can't do.
Okay. I think
so I guess I need to know, I just need direction from you. If you just want me to research, like, broadly, I can start that.
Well, I've looked, before I was ever on the council, I looked into some of these things, and there are other towns that have like staggered elections, and most small towns don't have, everybody in the town votes for the entire council, whether they have wards or they don't have wards. So I don't necessarily think it's a question of like, if we can do these, it's just like figuring out what the town wants to do about these and then changing it. So,
do you think you can move it to a different year?
I would have to go back and look, but there are towns that, yes, they moved it to a presidential election year. It was like they had to have one election, and they changed it to like, I can't remember the specifics now, but it was like the top 2 vote getters. It was because they were staggering it too. Like the top 2 vote getters overall stayed for so many years, and then the others were only 2 years. I can't remember the specifics of it now. It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, election laws change too. Like the code changes every year. So, if you're going to do anything like that, like we're going to have to research whether it's viable or not.
So
it's going to be extensive.
That, maybe we should. Okay, so before you even research that, maybe we should even find out if that's even something the town wants to do instead of researching it and then finding out we don't want to do anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
Jen, are we going to have a discussion where the public's invited to see if the folks of Dayton even want to change any of this or appoint a committee or something like that? Or, I mean, it sounds to me like your mind's kind of made up on this.
Well, my mind has been made up on this for a while, but obviously, yes, we want all of the public input we can gather, for sure. And I don't think we could do it without gathering public input. So, yes, 100% yes. As always, we do, yes, want public input.
I think the first step is we need a document that lists all the potential changes that we're looking at.
Okay.
And then you guys can decide how you want to move forward with getting public input.
That sounds very good.
Yes, it's. I think we were voted in, Ashley, because in one of our things was how the election was run in the wards and everything. So we're here now. So I think the public does want some input and wants some change on it. So it's more than just one person, I think.
Yeah, standing outside the polling place at the election, everybody that come out was complaining.
Yep. So anyway.
Okay. So I'll kind of get a document together with the different options that I talked about, and if anybody else has anything that they wanted to maybe suggest as a change or alternative, let me know. And I guess you just have to decide the best way to gather public input. I don't love the idea of a committee for this.
Yeah, I think just once you get your information gathered, send that to us, and then next month we can determine how we want to, what's the best way to get resident input on their thoughts and how we want to approach that, and then move forward with that step. So then once we know what the residents want, then that will, I think, dictate what way we need to do any research if there's any that would be needed at that point.
Okay. So I'll do that, and then hopefully we can have a special meeting, maybe just specifically for that, and hopefully lots of people will, have heard about it and have an opinion about it and let us know. All right. Last on the agenda, council comments.
About Scott.
Yep. Yeah.
He didn't have anything. Scott, is it correct that you still didn't have anything?
That's correct.
Okay. Good looking out for him, though. Are there any council comments?
I got a question.
Okay.
I've asked this several months, and this is for Michelle. Last month or this month, have you sent any checks, written any checks and sent them to the vendors, not the ones that you're allowed to pay, but the ones that we have to approve? Have you sent out any that we, before board approval, put any in the mail and sent them to them?
I've sent what is allowed, and then you guys approved it. I've sent them out.
Okay, because when we were up in that office a few weeks ago, and we went in and looked at the safe, and you showed us the checks you had one or two, and it seemed like there was a lot.
No, I had way more than two, and that was 2 months ago.
Well, I think there's two of them hanging there on the paper clip, but whatever. But so you're saying you do not send them out unless they're board approved, after they're board approved. Is that true?
I sent out what is allowed, and then once you guys individually approve these certain invoices, will you guys actually provide them to me? Because apparently you approved an invoice for Nate last month that, again, I was never sent. So it would really be nice if you guys would follow the ordinance that says that I'm supposed to be provided all documentation before a meeting, because I'm not getting numerous invoices and numerous documentation. So for me to be able to pay bills, it would be really great if you guys would consider me the elected official and fiscal officer that I am and provide me with these documents.
Michelle, I think you're paying.
I've answered your question.
I think you're paying bills ahead of time without our board approval. And if you are and still are, I hope you stop it, please, because it's.
I'm sure you think a lot of things wrong, just like I think a lot of things.
Well, the bank hasn't cashed before you even have a meeting, Michelle.
Michelle, are you done?
I have sent what I am allowed to send.
No, you haven't, Michelle. That's all right.
Michelle, when you
in here, just be quiet.
When you say that we approved a bill from Nate last month, did you mean the invoice we just approved for Nate?
No, Ashley just forwarded me a bill for Nate from apparently work that he did at the police station.
Okay, I don't have that. So you actually are the only one that has that. So you could forward that to us. That would actually be helpful. And I'll get
okay, well, I also need the ones from Haley.
So
some of these things that are even on here, I don't even have. So you guys really need to start sending me and stop interfering with the vendors and saying that you're the one to get the invoices, because that's not how this works.
I've never told
because I'm being neglected by. Yes, you have. I've talked to vendors that said that you have numerous phone calls to try and block me from doing anything.
That's a lie, Michelle. Okay.
That's
Please tell me which invoices you don't have on this list. Do you have all the Alphabet Business Technology invoices?
Yes, the ones that I do not have is the Haley's from last month, and I think Scott gave me the Ford one.
Okay.
And I don't have the Nate handyman for $895.
We've all had that one
again
for a while, but I will double check to make sure you
I
have
do
that.
I do not have Nate. I do not have Nate's because I was wondering why you guys were taking so long to pay him.
Okay. Nate and Haley's. I will make sure to forward those to you. Was that it? Just those two?
I don't know. I'll have to go back and listen to the meeting. You sit here and you randle them off like you're driving a NASCAR. So half the time, I got to go back and listen to the meetings because nobody can understand you.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I've never heard that. I'd be happy to not talk like I drive a NASCAR.
If you would slow it down and speak clearly, then I write these things down and hear what you're approving.
Unfortunately, this is just
that's enough, Michelle. Like. You don't need to tell people how to be speaking.
I will speak slower for you.
How am I supposed to do the minutes if I cannot understand the invoice numbers and the amounts that she is spilling out at record speeds? She's got the invoices in front of her. I don't.
Understand them.
Well, good for you, Ron. Anyways, moving on. It's council comments. I've answered your comments.
Yes. Okay.
I've given you my opinion. You asked, I gave it to you. I mean, if you don't like it, take it with a grain of salt. I don't care.
That is wonderful. All right, my council comments.
I'm not going to sit here and argue with you.
It doesn't sound like it.
Okay, I just had a couple things. Ron, were you done? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so the income surveys that some residents are getting, I heard back from Mr. Kleinpeter, and some are getting sent back, and he has not received some. And he said that's pretty typical. Like, people kind of think, what is this? I don't know. And they just don't send it back in or don't call for whatever reason. So the way it works is he has to send those again to the same resident. And hopefully when they get it a second time, they'll say, hey, what's this? Let me take notice of this and figure it out and get it sent in. But he is getting some back, so that's moving along. Just a little update on that. The other thing is I would like to move the May and June regular monthly meetings. They are right now scheduled for May 10th on Monday, and I'd like to move it to May 11th. That's a Tuesday. And then June 14th, I'd like to move that to June 15th, just on the Tuesday, right after when it was scheduled. Same time, 7 p.m., just one day later.
Okay. Why?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me.
That'll
That's good.
clear
Clear.
that. Okay. Any other council comments?
I think we're just
You'll have to do
confusing
whatever
the
you want,
public moving the meetings.
right?
What's that, Ashley? Okay. Sorry,
It'll
go ahead, Ashley.
Ashley, they would. I'm sure that it would be announced and it would be on the agenda and it would be posted for. I mean, it's only 2 months, so and it's not like it's never been done before. I know you guys have changed meetings for whatever reasons in the past, so
For holidays, not just because they want to.
So hopefully 1 month and 2 months is plenty of notice. Anything else, Ashley or Carla or Stan?
Nope.
well, I think I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing, Ashley?
No.
Thank you. Having no other business before us, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Jen.